Hello viewers, welcome to uVolve, the channel for database and data professionals. As most of you are already aware of, a new version of the Oracle Enterprise Manager has been released on December 2024, and that is OEM 24ai. So in this video, we are going to learn how to upgrade an existing OEM 13.5 system in a 64-bit Oracle Linux 8.10 platform to the latest OEM 24ai, that is the base version 24.1. So viewers, OEM upgrade to release 24ai is a simple and straightforward activity, and with the prerequisites and the best practices followed, it is even easier. Before I start the upgrade process, let me bring up a few key points that we should always pay attention to during the OEM upgrade activity. First of all, let's understand why it is important to upgrade your existing OEM system to latest version, that is 24.1. The previous release of OEM, that is OEM 13.5, is under long-term extended support only, which will end on December 2026. Any previous versions older than 13.5 have been already made out of support. Premier support for OEM 24ai will be till December 2027, and extended support will be till the end of December 2029. So it's a good time to upgrade to 24ai and learn the new features. Next, let's talk about the most prominent new features of OEM 24ai. OEM 24ai has come up with a lot of new features, and out of those, the most prominent three are zero downtime monitoring service, where your monitoring will be still up during a planned maintenance, such as applying release update patches on the OEM system. Second, highly available remote agents, which will monitor targets not only on the agent host, but also other hosts without an agent installed. And third, generative AI inclusion, where you can ask AI questions relevant to your OEM system, and that simply justifies why the new version of OEM has been named as OEM 24ai. Now let's see the upgrade paths to the new OEM 24ai from an older version. If you have an OEM 13.5 system, then you can directly upgrade to 24.1. But if you have an older system like 13.3 or 13.4, then first you have to upgrade that to 13.5 and then upgrade to 24.1. And if you have an even older system like 12.1, then you have to upgrade it to an intermediate 13.3 first, then upgrade that 13.3 system to 13.5, and then upgrade to 24.1. Now let's talk about the upgrade prerequisites and best practices. Operating system and hardware requirements should be already met if you are using OEM 13c. The certification metrics should be cross-checked, which I am going to show you shortly. Repository database should be 19c with minimum release update 22. And you have to undeploy any obsolete plugins. Anyway, the installer will report any obsolete plugins before it proceeds, and you will be able to take action on them. Download and pre-stage any additional plugins. If there is any additional plugins in your OEM system that the OEM installer is not able to take care automatically, then it will report about that, and you have to download it beforehand and pre-stage in the OMS host. Backup the OEM repository database, which is always important. Export backup the OMS configuration. Then there should be at least 15 gigs of free space in the temp file system, which will be required to unzip the OEM installer. And at least 40 gigs of free space in the OEM installation file system. This 40 gigs is not absolute. If your existing OMS home or the middleware home is say around 30 gigs, then your new system is also going to take about the same space. So you have to accordingly free up the space in the file system. Then X Windows Server is working in the OMS host, because that will be required to invoke the graphical user interface of the OEM 24ai installer. Most of these items will be validated and reported by the installer when we run it with a special parameter called em PreReq_kit equals to true, that I'm going to show you shortly, except a few ones like the certification metrics, free space, etc., which are either validated partially or you have to validate manually. And the download and pre-staging of any additional plugins from Oracle Corporation, that you have to do manually, and I am giving the steps for this in the description of this video below. Next, we need to cross-check the certification matrix for OEM 24ai. To do that, we have to log into first My Oracle Support, and once you are there, go to this Certifications tab. Then in this product box, you have to select this Enterprise Manager Base Platform. If it doesn't come automatically at the top, you can type in there, and as it is there, I will just select it, Enterprise Manager Base Platform OMS. And then in the release box, you select the 24.1, this particular release. Let the platform be any, then press the search button. Then in the results, let's first check the operating system requirements for OEM 24ai installation. So there are a couple of options there for IBM AIX, for Linux, Microsoft Windows, and Oracle Solaris, etc., which are supported and also listed with all the supported releases for that particular OS. In our case, we have to check the release for the Linux 64-bit that we have as Oracle Linux in our system, and we see that the Oracle Linux version 8.x is supported, and our OS platform is 8.10, so we are good with it. And then let's expand this agents section, and we see there are two releases supported, that is 24.1 and 13.5. 24.1 is the same version as the OMS, and then the next lower release that it is going to support is 13.5, and that's why it is important that your old version should be minimum 13.5 so that you can upgrade that to 24.1. And if you have any version that is older than 13.5, then you have to first upgrade that to 13.5 and also the agents. Otherwise, those agents will not be supported by the new OEM 24.1. Then let's expand the database section here. And there are a couple of things there. For example, what database versions are supported as managed targets that can be monitored by the 24.1 system. And we can see there are 8 releases supported all the way from 11G to Oracle RDBMS version 23. Then next thing is Oracle database as repository. So what Oracle version is supported as repository, and we can see that there is only one version, that is the Oracle 19c, and that to have the release update 22 applied. And in our case, I have already applied the release update 22 to our repository database, so we are good. So similarly, you have to check all the certifications against your environment, and once you are happy with the certification, you can go to the next step of downloading the OEM 24ai software. To download the OEM 24.1 software, we will first search for this OEM 24ai download, and then in the result, let's open this first link, Oracle Enterprise Manager Downloads, in a new tab. And we can see at the top of the list, Oracle Enterprise Manager Downloads, Oracle Enterprise Manager 24ai Release 1, that is the base release 24.1. And click on the link here, and that will take you to the login page. Then again, you have to log in with your Oracle credentials to download the OEM software. And in this download screen, it is automatically selected the Enterprise Manager Base Platform OMS 24.1. Then in the platforms, you have to select the appropriate platform for you. I'm going to select my platform, that is Linux x86 64. And it has automatically given us 5 zip archives to download that constitute the OEM 24ai software installer. And it's of size around 8 gigs, which is going to take a couple of minutes based on your internet speed. As I have already downloaded these 5 zip files, and also I transferred them to my OEM server, I will directly take you there. So this is my OEM server named admin SBR, and I logged in as Oracle user, which is the owner of all Oracle installations in this server. And currently I am in this directory under U001, where I have downloaded all these 5 zip files of the OEM installer. And then we have to unzip these files, starting with this first one, that is V104695-1-01. I'll unzip them one by one, and I'll pause the video because it's going to take a couple of minutes, and I'll resume once the unzipping is completed. So I have completed unzipping all these zip archives, and this first one gives us a .bin file, which is going to be the starter of the installer, and the remaining 4 zip files give us this 4 other zip files. And out of these 5 files, this .bin file is the one which is going to be run as a installer startup program. Now, before we start the upgrade, let me introduce the candidate OEM 13.5 environment here. I'll first set the OMS environment, and with an emctl status OMS command, we can see that the WebTR is up, Oracle Management Server is up, JVM engine is up, so our OEM system is up. Now let's take a look at the repository database. I will first set the database environment. So as you can see, this is 19c database with release update 22 applied. And then I will take you to the OEM console, and I will log in as sysman user. And this is my test OEM system with a very small set of targets just for demonstration purpose. And we can see that there are only 3 total agents. One of them are the central management agent itself, which is installed in the OMS server, and the remaining 2 are on 2 Linux boxes named VM Linux 1 and VM Linux 2. And all the agents are currently up. And also I want to show you the release update that I applied on this OEM system. In our 13.5 OEM system, the update 22 has been already applied, that is 13.5.0.22. So in both our RDBMS Oracle 19c repository database, we have applied the release update 22, and also in the OEM, we have applied the release update 22. So it doesn't have to be the same, but coincidentally, they became the same in my case. Oracle always recommend that you should have the latest release update applied on your OEM system before you upgrade. And also, the latest release update should be applied in the repository database before you upgrade the OEM system. But in my experience, you should apply the release update in RDBMS system which was released before the OMS release. For example, if your OMS release is 24.1, you should not go for a release update on the RDBMS or the repository database which was released after the OMS release. For example, right now, the latest release update on 19c database is RU24, but that was released on January, which is after the OEM 24.1 release, because OEM 24.1 was released on December 2024. And I have seen that if I apply the 24 release update on the RDBMS system, then the OEM installer is not able to recognize that release update, and it may report it incorrectly that you do not have the appropriate release update applied on the repository database. And to avoid that situation, I recommend that you apply the release update on the RDBMS system or the repository which was released before the OEM release. Now we are all set for the upgrade, and then we will go back to our OEM server. So we are back in the OEM server and in the directory where all our installer files are present. And we have to run this .bin file, but before we can run it, we have to export the display variable so that we can get the graphical user interface of the installer program. So first, export display equals to the IP address of the machine from where you are using this SSH client to connect to the server. And as I am using MOBA Xterm as my SSH client, it already gives me the IP address that needs to be set in the display variable. And I see this is 192.168.1.161:0.0. In your case, you have to find out the IP address accordingly. So 192.168.1.161:0.0. And then we are going to invoke this bin file with the parameter that I explained before as em PreReq_kit equals to true, which will run this program in the prerequisite check option or mode. Press enter. And it is going to take a couple of seconds or maybe 1 or 2 minutes because it is going to extract the installer first. So I will pause the video and I will resume once the graphical user interface of the installer is available. And there we go. So in the first screen, it's asking for the installation types, that is, create a new enterprise manager system or upgrade an existing enterprise manager system. In our case, we have to select this second option, and then also we have to select the existing middleware home, which is given below, and then click next. Then it will check the prerequisites, which will take a couple of seconds. And as we can see that all of the prerequisite checks have been succeeded except one that says that the required kernel parameter setting is at warning. Let's click on that and see what it is saying. And it has found that the IP local port range in the system is actually from 9,000 to 65,500. In fact, this is a bigger range than the recommended range, so we can safely ignore this because it is not going to create a problem. So I will click on the ignore button, and it has been ignored now, and then I will click on the next button. And in this screen, we have to supply the database connection details. The connect descriptor to the repository database has been automatically selected, and you cannot modify it. And below that, you have to supply the sys password and the sysman password. And also there are two options to provide one-way SSL or two-way SSL details if you are using them in your database connection. And if you are not using them, then simply ignore that and just click on the next button. In the next screen, the installer is going to give you two options, whether you want to run the prerequisite checks with the sys user or a non-sys user. If you want to perform this using a non-sys user, you can supply the database username and the password below in the provided boxes. And if that particular user is not present in the repository database, then the installer is going to create that for you. But in my case, as I am going to use the sys user for these prerequisite checks, I'm going to select the first option and then click next. And then the installer will do some database related prerequisite checks. And it has given a list of 4 items, out of which 3 failed and 1 in warning state. The first fail item is related to job queue process initialization parameter of the repository database, and this is also auto fixable, so we don't have to worry about that because once we run the installer in actual upgrade mode, it is going to take care of that automatically. The second fail item says that the EM key should be copied to the repository. This is only temporary and it needs to be copied during the upgrade process. And once the upgrade process is completed, we'll have to remove it from the repository. I'm going to show you shortly how to do that. The third item is a warning saying that the latest release updates or the bundle patches should be applied on the OMS home as well as on the repository database home. We have already discussed about that, and if you want, you can still validate if the latest release updates have been applied. The last fail item is about an obsolete or unsupported plugin called CSA plugin, which is deployed on some agents in the old OEM environment. And if that is not undeployed, OEM upgrade process will not be able to move forward. So it has also given the command to undeploy it. But first we have to find out where this unsupported or obsolete plugin is installed or deployed. So I'm going to take care of the manually actionable fail items one by one, starting with the EM key, which needs to be copied to the repository. So when this installer is still running, I'm going to establish a duplicate SSH session with Oracle user to the OMS server. Let's set the environment for OMS. I'm simply pasting the command here, that is emctl config em key minus copy to repos with this parameter. So this command is given in the description of this video. So press enter. And it will ask for the sysman password that I will provide here. And the EM key has been copied to the repository. And it is also recommending that after the required operation has been completed, secure the EM key by running emctl config EM key remove from repose, because right now the EM key is unsecure. Now let's go back to the installer again, and we'll ignore this third one. Then the fourth one, check for CSA plugin on agents. Let's find out which are the candidate agents. So I'll use this command, emcli list plugin on agent minus plugin equals to oracle.sysman.csa. That is the name of the CSA plugin. Okay, to run this program, actually you need to log in to the enterprise manager using emcli command. So emcli login minus username equals to sysman, and it will ask for the password. Login successful. We will run the command again, that is emcli list plugins on agent plugin equals to oracle sysman csa, and this should give us a list of agents who have this plugin installed. In our case, as we have only 3 agents, and out of those 3, this is the only agent that has this particular CSA plugin installed, that is the central management agent on the OEM server itself. And to remove this plugin, we are going to use the command. Let's first clear the screen, and I'm pasting it here again to avoid any kind of typing errors. So the command is emcli undeploy plugin from agent minus plugin, that is the name of the plugin here, and then agent names, because we have just one agent listed there, that is the central management agent, so we put it there, then minus delete underscore targets with that option. This is going to take a few minutes, and in the background the job is running to remove the plugin. Please remember that if the plugin would have been installed in the OMS system, then mostly that would have required the restart of the OEM or the OMS to remove it completely. But as it is installed only on the agent, so we don't require an OEM bounce. So what we can do, we can check the status of the job that is running in the background about the progress of removing this particular plugin, and it has given there, use this particular command to track the plugin undeployment status. So press enter, and we see all the individual steps are success, and we can see that the status here is undeploying. It means it is not yet undeployed, but currently it is working on it. Let's give it a minute or so and see if the status changes to completed or something. It should not take a long time, maybe a minute or so. I will pause the video and I will resume after 1 minute. Let's try the command again. Yes, this time we can see that the status has changed to success, means the invalid plugin or the obsolete plugin has been successfully removed. Go back to the installer program, and we will press the check again button here. Let's see what it reports this time. So one of the line reporting the EM key is gone, but we still have the other lines there. So probably we have to do one more thing here, that is emcli sync, which will sync up the enterprise manager configuration with the repository. Let's go back to the other session and run the checks again, and it is still there. Let's bounce the central management agent and see if it is removed from this checklist. So let's go back to the other session. Let's find out the path of the agent binaries, and I will go to the path from where the 13.5 agent is running. Let's clear the screen, and I will put the full path of the emctl command to stop the agent. So the agent has been stopped, and then I'll start it again. So the agent has been restarted. Now let's go back to the program and press the check again button to see if it has removed that line. It is still there, but don't worry about this. We will now close this installer program, which is running in the prerequisite check mode, and we will run the actual upgrade process, because we are sure that we have already removed the obsolete plugin from the single agent where it was installed. So cancel it. Do you want to exit? Yes. And this time I'm going to run this program without this particular parameter. The installer is getting extracted again, which will take a minute or so. I will pause the video and I'll resume once the installer graphical user interface is displayed. And there we go. This time we get the installer in the actual upgrade mode. So we're not going to select this first option that creates a new enterprise manager system. Instead, we are going to use the second option that says upgrade an existing enterprise manager system. There are two options: upgrade end-to-end and the upgrade software only with plugins and configure later on. So this second option is less time consuming because you install only the software and you have to take another downtime to do the actual upgrade. But we are going to select this first option, which is a little longer than the second option, but it will do everything for us. So once the first option is selected, you also select the existing middleware home that is going to be upgraded. And this is actually an out of place upgrade. And this installer is not going to modify anything in this existing middleware home. Rather, it's going to create a new middleware home with a new directory for the 24.1 OEM system. So click next, and then software updates, we'll skip this, and then again it is going to do the prerequisite checks for us, which will mostly pass except the IP port range that I mentioned before, and here it is. And we are going to ignore this and then press the next button. And here we have to specify the actual middleware home directory for the new installation. So what I am going to do, click on the browse button, then under U001 app Oracle, and as we can see that the existing enterprise manager base, that is OEM 13.5 is there. So click on this new directory button, and then I'll give the name as OEM 24.1. Click open, and this is the path actually, U001 app Oracle OEM 24.1. Similarly, we have to also specify the agent base directory. Click on the browse button, then go to the root directory, and under that U001 app Oracle, and there the base directory for the existing 13.5 agent is present as agent 13c. I'm going to create a new directory with the name agent 24.1 as the base directory of the new agent. Press enter and then select that, and the new base directory is U001 app Oracle agent 24.1. You can create these directories beforehand or use the command prompt to create them. I found it easier to create it here itself. Click next, and here for the database connection details, it will require the sys password and the sysman password. So I will provide the sys password here and also the sysman password. And next it is asking to confirm that you have backed up the management repository, so that you have to accordingly take care and make sure that you have a proper backup. Disable DDMP jobs. This DDMP stands for deferred data migration. These are the jobs actually run in the background after an Oracle migration is completed. We don't want to disable them, so keep it that way. Again, in the next two options, you have to provide one-way SSL or two-way SSL based on what you are using for your database SSL configuration. If you are not using that, then simply ignore them, then click on the next button. This is an informational message that the old agent, that is the 13.5 agent, will be upgraded to 24.1. Press the OK button. And then in the next screen, it is giving us two options to perform the upgrade using sys user and a non-sys user. If you want to perform it using a non-sys user, then just select this second option and provide a database user and the password. If that user is not present in the database yet, then the installer is going to create it. But in our case, we are going to use the sys user. So I've selected the first option and then click next. Then it will again execute database related prerequisite checks. And now we can see only two items or prerequisites are present in the list. One of them will be automatically taken care, which is related to job queue process. And the second one is just a warning, which we are going to ignore. So when it is selected that the first one to take care of the job queue processes, we will press this autofix button and the installer is going to take care of that. And we see that the first line is now gone. So we have just one warning. And also we see that the next button is now active. So we'll click on the next button. And this is simply an informational message. And most of the items we have already taken care. If you want, you can go through it again to validate. Except this third one that we have to take care, where it is saying that the management agent in the OMS server is currently up and we need to bring it down. So we'll go back to the other session. And then I will stop the agent because I already know the path to the emctl command for the agent. So emctl stop agent, which is going to bring down the 13.5 agent, which is currently running. And it has been stopped. Let's go back to the previous session and click OK on the message. And it has given some information about the plugins that it is going to upgrade, that is the Oracle Exadata, Oracle Database, Oracle Fusion Middleware, Oracle Cloud Framework, and System Infrastructure, which will be automatically upgraded. And here, if there is any plugin which it is not able to automatically upgrade, it will provide you the list, and you have to download those plugins with the version 24.1 from Oracle Corporation, and then you have to stage it in a location in the OEM server, and you have to pass that location in the installer program that we are currently running. I have given the steps in the description. In this environment, I don't have any kind of plugins that cannot be automatically upgraded. So I will click on the next button. And by default, it is selecting all of the agents to upgrade automatically. Click next again. And we received an error message saying during upgrade, the OMS cannot connect to the management repository. Therefore, stop all running OMS instances using the following command, that is emctl stop OMS -all. So I'll go back to the session and then we'll issue the command emctl stop OMS -all. Now the OMS has been completely stopped. Let's go back to the previous session and press the OK button in the message and click next again. And it is again giving some information about the admin server host, then the admin server port, the WebLogic username, that is WebLogic, and supply the WebLogic user password. And the OMS instance base location is automatically selected based on the directory that we created before with the name EM24.1. Then click next. It is doing some port related prerequisite checks, which is going to take a few seconds. And then it is giving us a list of ports which are going to be used by our OEM system. Click next. Then the review page. Everything looks to be okay. And then we will finally press the upgrade button. So this upgrade is going to take at least an hour. So this upgrade is going to take around 30 minutes to 1 hour based on the system performance. I will pause the video and I will resume whenever there is significant updates or something that is worth mentioning. So 59% of the upgrade process has been completed. It has been already over an hour, and this is expected because the OEM system is running on a virtual machine. It doesn't have that level of performance, and I expect it to take another 1 hour or so for the completion. Okay, after around 2 hours, now we can see that the upgrade progress is 100%, and it's asking us to run the root script named allroot.sh. So we'll copy this entire file with the path, and I'm going to establish another session with the root user to the OMS host, and I'll simply paste the root script along with its path, and the root script has been successfully executed. Let's go back to the installer GUI, and then we'll click the OK button, and it is an upgrade summary that has been displayed here. If you want, you can copy the content and record it in a separate file. And now we can simply close the installer GUI. Our new OEM system will be accessible through the same URL that we used for the old OEM 13.5 system. So refresh the page, and now we see that the login prompt is little different for Enterprise Manager 24ai, but the credential will be the same. So I will log in as sysman user, press the I accept button for the license agreement, and there we go. This is our new OEM 24ai console along with the summary page. We see the interface is slightly different than the older OEM 13.5 system. The top menu bar is gone. Instead, we see the menu at the leftmost corner, and if you click on that, you'll be able to see all the available menu there. For example, Enterprise, under which you'll be able to see the summary, dashboards, monitoring, etc. And if you want to go to the targets and all targets, you should be able to see the same set of targets that was there before. Let's order it with the target type, and we see the 3 agents which were there before, the central management agent and 2 extra agents on VM Linux 1 and VM Linux 2. These 2 Linux boxes, they are all currently up. You can go to this sysman menu. Under that, go to About Enterprise Manager, and in this splash screen, we can see that our new Oracle Enterprise Manager is with the version 24ai release 1. So our upgrade has been successfully completed. And the next thing you need to do is to upgrade the agents, because our agents, except the central management agent, all the other agents are still in OEM version 13.5. So to do that, we have to go first to the setup menu, and under that, manage Enterprise Manager, and under that, go to agents. We should have just 3 agents listed there. The first one, that is the central management agent, which is already having the release update version 24.1, but the other 2 agents are still not upgraded to 24.1. To upgrade these agents, we will again click on the main menu at the top left corner, then go to setup, and then manage Enterprise Manager, and under that we will select the upgrade agents, this particular submenu, and then it is going to create a job for us to upgrade them, and the job name is already there. So we'll just click on this button plus add to select the agents to upgrade, and from the list below I'm going to select both the agents using control click, then press the OK button, and both are in 13.5 version and are going to be upgraded to 24.1, and the credentials going to be used are the preferred credentials which are already set. Please note that we have the preferred normal credential for the agent, which is with the user Oracle, but the preferred privilege credentials are required for running the root script, which we have not set yet. Once we press the submit button, it's going to throw an error saying that the preferred privilege credentials for Oracle Home of the agent is not set, but we can safely ignore it because we are going to run the root script manually. So press the OK button, and the job has started. which is going to take 15 to 20 minutes. I am going to pause the video and I will come back once the upgrade of the agents have been successfully completed. So after around 20 minutes, the agent upgrade to 24.1 has been successfully completed. We can see all the green check marks here. It did not ask for running the root script, and that is because the settings have been migrated from the old agent home to the new home. That is fine. Let's go to the agent page again from the setup menu, then manage enterprise manager, and then agents. And now we can see that all our 3 agents are with version 24.1. So now we can say we have performed the OEM 24ai upgrade successfully. At this time, you can delete the old OEM 13.5 base directory because that is no more required. Just make sure your OEM software library is outside of the OEM base and it does not get deleted. I will cover the new features of the OEM 24ai in a separate video shortly. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.